I'm an ass man. Alexis Texas is the goat of porn stars to me, and most certainly, I'm an ass man when it comes to Billy Gunn. He was legit. My favorite wrestling figure. He was the guy that would win all my matches as a kid. He would beat Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker. He beat them all when it came to my fantasy booking. So obviously, being an ass man, I most certainly agree with him winning King of the Ring 1999. I don't know why people act like it was his fault or a bad choice that it didn't work out. Edge had to take a little cheap shot when he won his King of the Ring, saying he wanted Billy Gunn it. It was not Billy Gunn's fault that this didn't work out. Bruce Pritchard recently said that The Rock didn't want to work with him. Stone Cold Steve Austin supposedly didn't want to work with him. My thinking is maybe politicking ruined this King of the Ring run, and it actually was the right choice. When you look at the names, who actually has a better claim to it than Mr. Ass Billy Gunn? Were you going to give it to a Big Show who looked like a giant baby in his fucking diaper outfit at the time? X-Pac had X-Pac heat. Test was the one that kind of jumped out on me. Like, okay, maybe King of the Ring would help elevate him to the main event level. But Mr. Ass had it all. He was that marketable star that you want to make with King of the Ring. And I feel like, hey, that probably was the right call. And it maybe was just sabotaged. When you think about it, those two didn't want to work with him. Is around that time, WWE was huge. And if you have this next guy that's going to come into the main event scene, Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn, who's going to get over, that's another mouth to feed. These guys are like, oh shit, this is another guy that's taking interview time from us on Access Hollywood or MTV TRL. This is a guy that TV Guide. Now he's on TV Guide.
Yeah.
Mr. Ass could be on TV Guide. He could have took that from Stone Cold and The Rock. Also merch. Now all of a sudden you have another guy that's competing with you for merch. So I think he was the right choice to win King of the Ring. I believe it was a good call. I will admit that it didn't work out, but it was not Billy Gunn's fault. He didn't drop the ball. He was maybe sabotaged. But this is a really cool topic, so we thought, why not fantasy book it? Obviously, you know where I'm going with this. Mr. Ass still wins it. It's time for me to tag my partner in and see if he goes with one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time in Billy Gunn.
Well, I don't know if it was sabotage or what, but clearly the ball was dropped somewhere. Either Billy Gunn dropped it or whoever was in charge making that decision dropped the ball. But either way, it didn't work out. I don't put all the blame on Billy Gunn. I think he was the right choice at the time, but they didn't have anything for him afterwards. They just thought the King of the Ring was enough. But either way, it didn't work out. So fantasy booking it, I still don't think this. I didn't like the roster at this time. I mean, there was a lot of big stars, but in terms of taking the King of the Ring and putting it on a guy to take him to that next level, I don't think they had anybody ready for that. Like, you had Edge and Hardys and all that, but they weren't ready yet. It still wasn't that time for them. And then it kind of settled in that mid card, like, and it's basically DX or the corporation. And a lot of those guys, I don't think were ready or needed a King of the Ring win. So fantasy booking, having to fantasy book it. For the semifinal round, I thought a cool idea would be an all DX semifinal. So they did do, China was in this to try to be the first queen of the ring. Her and Road Dogg had a match, and I would have just kept that match, and I would have kept the finish with China doing the low blow and Road Dogg's wearing a metal cup. And then they almost did it, but it ended up being Billy Gunn and Kane, I think, was the other semifinal. I would have done Billy Gunn and X-Pac, or maybe I'm getting that mixed up. But either way, I would have done the DX semifinal. And you come down to Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, which I think would have been cool to the New Age Outlaws wrestling each other for the King of the Ring. And then I ultimately ultimately would have had Road Dogg win. And the reason behind that is a big factor of why Billy Gunn failed was the thing with The Rock, where The Rock kind of buried him on the mic. And I feel like that's the one aspect of Billy Gunn's game that kept him from the main event scene was his mic work. And I think it's the opposite for the Road Dogg. I think the Road Dogg had the mic work and he was limited in the ring.
Yeah, he just looked like a loser.
Yeah. During the Attitude Era, it was all about like the gimmicky like mic work and the promos, and like all the wrestling matches were kind of just brawling and all that stuff. Billy Gunn was ahead of his time. He wasn't appreciated during this time. If he would have gotten this push in the Ruthless Aggression era, I think that would have been his breakout time. So I would have went Road Dogg, and I probably wouldn't even put Road Dogg with The Rock. I think if you keep that New Age Outlaw feud going, like maybe after Road Dogg wins, Billy turns on him, I think that could have helped out Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and the whole King of the Ring concept. And then later on that year in '99 anyway, Y2J would debut and he would feud with the Road Dogg. So if you come out of SummerSlam where Road Dogg finally puts away Billy Gunn, goes into the debut in Jericho, and it's kind of a feud of like the Ayatollah of rock and roll versus the King of the Ring or whatever. I think it could have saved it a little bit better. I feel like the King of the Ring's like overhyped. I don't think that they do as much for people as they claim to do. Maybe only like 3 guys ever got anything from it.
The Austin moment probably carries the whole legacy.
Yeah, I think Austin, Triple H, and then maybe Edge got
Owen?
something out. Or I don't think Owen had already beat Brett at WrestleMania, and I don't think he needed it. And I don't think it did anything for him. He was already on a collision course with Bret Hart. There wasn't the King of the
No
Ring
need
just gave
for
him
it.
the title to be called King of Hearts. He had already like established being a contender for the world title with Bret. Maybe Kurt Angle or Edge, but I think all the King of the Rings were badly booked and they didn't have any plans for any of the winners. So I don't think it's all Billy Gunn's fault. I mean, we could discuss that some other time, but even if you do the Road Dogg, I still don't think it saves this year's King of the Ring.
What I like about the Road Dogg choice is, well, I mean, it is definitely awful because Road Dogg sucks, but I do like the idea that you mentioned Jericho, because since we know hindsight that this King of the Ring fails at making us new star, at least we're feeding the King of the Ring to not The Rock, who already is over.
Yeah.
We're feeding him to a debuting superstar in Jericho.
Yeah.
So I really like that idea a lot.
That's what
Going Road Dogg, getting
Yeah,
him fed
'cause
to Jericho.
that was his first like official like feud was with Road Dogg. So making him the King of the Ring, and then Jericho could play off that beautifully, and it gives them something, the two of them, something to go back and forth with their promos. Because Road Dogg was lacking in the ring, but I think on the mic during this time, '99, he was. I'm not gonna put him up there with Austin or The Rock, but the next level down.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like Kane.
Like a D'Lo Brown.
All right. So in the comments, let us know who you would choose to win King of the Ring 1999.